When it does come to your investing, whether it's 15, 19, 20 stocks, do you ever feel, do you try to make sure you don't put too much into a certain industry? So like, tech companies, would you ever want to hold the big boys like Facebook, Google, Apple, all at the same time? Would you want to have 4 or 5 tech companies out of 20 that you're holding?
Yeah, I could see that. And the reason is nowadays, just tech runs the world for the most part. Right. So it's hard really not to be invested into a lot of different tech companies. It's just the day and age we're living in. You think about the apps industry, you think about just like where are most people spending most of their time? It's on their phones, on their tablets, on their computers. So, and whenever you're involved in that, it's all internet based, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you think about it from that perspective, it's hard not to be, invested heavily in a lot of different tech companies because it's just, that's where we're living our lives. So if that's where we're living our lives, like you got to be invested there.
Right.
So,
but if it was another industry, if you had 20 stocks and say 4 or 5 of them were then a different industry, do you ever get to a point where you're like, okay, I should probably diversify into some other industries?
Yeah, I do feel like that. If it's other industries, like, for instance, and the way I kind of think about it, almost everything's a tech company for the most part nowadays, it's crazy, right? But I break it down like industry specific and specific with that company. So like Amazon's a tech company, Apple's a tech company. But they're so vastly different when you really break it down. Like Amazon has these massive warehouses. Yes, everybody goes to order something through a website or an app, right? But they really have these massive warehouses. They're shipping product, they're driving cars. Apple's making iPhones and an app store and software and things like that. Like although they're both tech, they're not even close to being remotely close. And then Amazon Web Services and so when I look at it from that perspective, I never even really think about it. I take it on a stock-by-stock basis and I say, do these companies compete at all? Not really. Mm-hmm. And, Amazon and Apple, maybe they compete at something in some spaces, but for the most part, they're so vastly different.
Right.
Just because they're tech, I don't really look at it like that. Kind of like we talked about plant-based food, Beyond Meat's not really a competitor of Tattooed Chef. Just because they're going down the same lane, they're not really competitors. Mm-hmm. So.
Okay.